We made t-shirts from midnight to 5 a.m. In a t-shirt place that we could rent when they weren't using it. We printed these shirts and went out and we'd sell them. And I remember we went to an event in Colorado and sold t-shirts over the weekend, and we made like $12,000. Wow. This was a lot of money for a college kid.
That's
right?
a lot of money for t-shirts. A lot of t-shirts.
Yeah, that was a lot of t-shirts.
I don't think people do that on a weekend today.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to the Flat Bill Investors Podcast. I'm Josh Zaglaski.
And I'm Zach Spencer. Josh, happy to be here today with you. We're just singing songs and having a good time. We are joined today actually by a stud. You guys are going to love to get to know him. Graduated from Duke and then BYU, so very well educated, and has founded or been a part of 10 different companies. The most recent and probably the most notable is one that you will recognize. Today, we're here with Derrin Hill from Rev Road.
Rev Road,
hey, welcome.
Go, baby.
Welcome. We'll represent Rev Road. Comfy hat.
Looks good on you guys.
Thank you.
It does. I really like it.
It looks so good.
There you go.
I got to
cover up the, my kids are always like, Dad, your head is so shiny. It's so shiny. I'm like, I am bald. So there you go. Well, welcome, Darren. We appreciate you having you. Yeah. Love it. Let's just hop right into it. I was going to say, give us a little bit of history. Who's Darren?
Yeah, well, I mean, thanks for the intro, but I think of myself as this country bumpkin. I grew up on a small farm in Missouri and born in Ogden. My folks moved out to the Midwest, and wow.
Independence, right?
Yeah, just south of Independence. That's right.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Little tiny farm. I'm so grateful for that. My folks, they're not farmers.
Oh,
but they chose that because they wanted to raise kids, and they're like, that's what we're making. That's what we're doing is we're raising kids that know how to work.
Yeah. So you had chores growing up.
Always.
Yeah. There you go.
Milking cows.
Oh, real chores.
Pigs, chickens. Yeah. Taking care of horses, all the stuff.
What brings you back to school in Utah? Tell us a little bit about your...
Always wanted to be here. I actually can attribute a lot of that to my mom. She made this blanket when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like my, what was it on the TV show or the movie Wooby or something like that?
Wooby? A little blankie?
It was my blankie.
Yeah.
And it had all these
probably
college...
quilted.
Yeah. No, like seriously.
Maybe.
And it had all these college pendants on it. My mom and dad are amazing. They were just always inspiring us to like do as much as we could possibly do with life.
Mm-hmm. They put Utah State on that quilt.
Do you come from a lot of kids?
Yeah, 6 kids.
6.
Family of 6.
Oh, big.
But yeah, it was like Harvard and Duke and Yale, and it had BYU on there.
Oh, wrong blue. I thought Utah State.
Yeah, Logan's good. That's awesome. Still good.
Yeah.
Almost as good of ice cream.
Hey, shots fired. I'm bringing you Aggie Blue Mint next. You can give me some.
You know what's funny is actually I live in Mountain Green, which is in near Morgan, Utah. And I was there's a new it's called Lee's Marketplace. It's brand new in Mountain Green. And I went in.
Do they have BYU Creamery?
They have both.
What?
They had Aggie and BYU Creamery. I've never seen them before.
So you can get Grand Canyon and okay, good to know.
They've only been open, I'm almost a year now this summer. And it's the first time I've gone to I've been to the ice cream section. I'm like, they have Aggie. It's called Aggie
ice cream.
Aggie ice cream, and then BYU Creamery. And I was like, no way, I've never seen that.
That's a dangerous combo.
I don't think a lot of grocery stores in Utah have both.
My waistline may never recover.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good thing you don't live in Mountain Green.
Well, good. Well, so
I'm going to try and forget that's bullshit.
Yeah. So the blanket brought you back, gave you some inspiration. Your parents kind of inspired you to come back.
Came to school here.
Come to school at BYU.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Loved it. Neither of my parents were able to finish college, but they always encouraged us to learn. And so I was the first in my, small family to be able to go to school. And that was really cool. Plus really pretty girls there. And I wanted to meet some of them.
There you go. Did you meet one?
Well, you and I
did.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And what happened there?
Living happily ever after.
Good. That's good. That's awesome. Good.
Well, I was going to say, you and I have known each other for a few years.
Yeah.
For full disclosure, everyone, Darren and I have been partners on a company called the ERC Specialist since 2022.
Yeah.
Or 21. I know the company started in 21, but I think we became partners in about 22. But that said, I know you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, but coming back to what you were just talking about, graduating college, what were you kind of focused on? And then what kind of made you go the direction of being an entrepreneur? Yeah,
that's a great question. But before I hit that, I just have to say, best partners ever.
Awesome.
ERC specialist. Like seriously.
Yeah, we think the same thing with Rev Road. Yeah, there's plenty to talk about with that.
Yeah. Well, it actually started with a club. Like someone had said, hey, you want to enhance your resume, start a club in college, and like it looks good and it will give you all this experience. And so some friends and I started a club at BYU called The Future Leaders of America's Market Exchange, FLAME.
Okay.
And we wanted to learn about like what makes markets move and how do they work and, how do you make money in them? And because, it was a BYU thing, we were very focused on like, how do you apply eternal principles, like gospel principles in the scriptures to that? And are there ways to mesh those together and have them be like really synergistic? So we did that. And in the course of doing that, I was reading in my favorite book, which is the Book of Mormon. And there's a place in Jacob chapter 2, verses 17 through 19. And it basically talks about how you can make money and the circumstances that apply there, like from an eternal principle. Like I was very fascinated by that because I grew up like really, really poor and rural America. Never even knew I was poor.
Yeah. You just grew up.
Just grew up working.
Because everybody
which shows the value of your parents as well.
They're amazing. Like every year we would get the free and reduced lunch intake form. And my parents would sit down with that and they'd say, we're not going to sign it. And the school will get upset because we're not going to sign it. But we will always provide for you. And the school would get upset because they want their extra money. But it was just a principle that our parents taught us. Like you always provide for yourselves.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was thinking like, how do I hack this make money thing? And I love what it says in there. It says that if you first obtain a hope in Christ, and then after you obtain a hope in Christ, then you seek for money for the intent to do good, to clothe the naked, feed the hungry, liberate the captive. And so
that's like the winning equation.
That's the winning equation.
Sure.
From then on, that was like my focus. And I had some friends who were in that club and we decided, hey, let's do that. Let's like see if we can make that happen for the intent to do those things.
Cool.
And so
about how many people were you talking about? Like a few or a dozen, 2 dozen?
We had a couple dozen people in our club, but these were 3 other friends of mine that became co-founders, and we decided to.
That's what my next question was. Are these people you keep in contact with? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we decided to start a company. We made T-shirts from midnight to 5 a.m. in a T-shirt place that we could rent when they weren't using it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they taught us how to make them, and we printed these shirts and went out and we'd sell them. We still have this picture, like people, like credit cards weren't a big thing then. So it was small cash, right? Small denominations. And I remember we went to an event in Colorado and sold T-shirts over the weekend, and we made like $12,000.
Wow.
This was a lot of money for a college kid.
That's a lot of money for T-shirts. A lot of T-shirts.
Yeah, that was a lot of T-shirts.
I don't think people do that on a weekend today.
Yeah.
We got to the hotel after doing it and piled all the cash up on the bed, and it was like this huge pile. And then we're all taking turns diving into it.
Scrooge McDuck. You got to love that.
Scrooge McDuck. So fun.
Yeah.
That's funny you referenced that. That's a Scrooge McDuck play for sure.
McDuck play diving through your piles of cash. That's a good day. That's cool.
It was a good day. And then we also wanted to figure out like, how do we operationalize that principle? Like, what are we going to do some good with this stuff?
That's cool. You thought that way.
Well, ever since then, we've tried to put in place a nonprofit relationship with our companies, where we have a charity of choice that we work with.
Love that. And we talk a lot about flexing that giving muscle. It is a muscle. You gotta work it out.
Yeah.
And the more you work out, the more you can lift. And so that's great. Quick question. You mentioned earlier about winning every day. That's something to me that I'm really, really curious about. I've mentioned in other episodes, I have kind of my 4 pillars that I try to lean on to win every day. I'm curious, what is winning the day? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. Well, it's in my calendar every day.
Okay.
That's the first thing is I have to have it in there.
Okay.
But it's putting God first, right? I engage with him. He's my top priority. So I engage with him first. My family is my next top priority. So I engage with them next. So they get my freshest and best every morning. And then after that, I have this really cool thing that I learned from Richard and Linda Iyer, who are just incredible writers. If you haven't checked out their books, you should check those out. It's basically 3 proactive wins. So I have time dedicated to just basically tackling 3 things that I'm going to get all the way to done.
Okay.
And that's before I jump into the tornado of having to respond to voicemail.
So you're trying to do that early in the morning.
Early.
3 wins.
Before I get into the office.
What's some tips for people? I mean, God, like a lot of people pray. Maybe what's something in addition to that? What's something, because you have 6 kids as well?
We do.
Yeah, you have 6 kids.
What age range? Just to give us an idea.
Now they are 20 to 28.
Okay, so they're getting bigger.
We had 6 kids in 8 years on purpose.
Yeah. There you go. So what do you do to engage with maybe each and every kid each day, or how do you kind of do, what's that engagement look like?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, with God, it's prayer, it's scripture study, it's pondering, meditating, listening, a lot of listening. With my family, it's fun and it's meaning.
Okay.
So like literally it could be like dogpiling one of my kids in the morning, like And so they start off with a funny, like happy dad and a smile.
That's so cool.
You know, it's not so easy to do now because like almost all of them are gone and they're grown. But we have this silly family cheer that we would do every single morning after a family devotional.
That's cool.
And we will laugh, we will roar, we are the hills forevermore. We live after the manner of happiness. And then our dog, like he just knew as soon as we started putting our hands in and doing our cheers, he'd just spin around and bark and jump and bark and jump. And the kids are just like, it's high energy. It's so fun.
You know, what's so funny as you're saying that, you know, we have all these talks, you know, day in and day out about like company culture, company values, vision, you know, all those things. As you're saying that, I'm like, okay, you're just taking the mission, vision, values that other companies take. You've applied it to your family, and that kind of culture doesn't like just leave easy. I'm sure your kids, maybe are they doing it with their own kids now or with their spouses?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's inspirational right there, I think.
It's the best. We talk a lot about work, right? But if you think about it, all of us are going to, on average, we're going to live to be, 70, 80 years old. Let's say it's 80. That means that we're going to spend maybe half of our lives working full time.
Yeah.
In most cases, right?
Yeah.
But the other half we're going to spend doing things that's not work. And even during that half of, those 40 years that we're working, it's about half of our time that we're going to spend at work and the other half. Yeah. So it's really only a quarter of our lives we work, but we focus so much on optimizing that. Good to do. We still should, but I think we should do it equal or more time optimizing with our family.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, I know for me, I get into a rut where I say, okay, when I get a certain thing, then I'll be able to, and I hear that a lot. We feel that a lot, or see that the be, do, have principle. Yes. I'm sure you've heard of that. And that I'll be this person once I do the thing and have the thing, instead of flipping that around. And I think you're lighting me up inside right now. Just a good reminder right now to flip that around and be the thing now.
Yeah.
And no matter what level we're at, to really encompass that. But that family values, I love that mission statement you've kind of set out there and done that. That's awesome. Reeling that in a little bit. Is that what you would call a win for a day?
Oh, definitely. Getting God and my family first are the main wins. Right after that are these 3 proactive wins, where I just choose 3 things that I want to do proactively at work or in my life. Right. And that can be, reaching out to someone that I haven't talked to, but that I need to and want to. A lot of it starts with, I also, at the beginning of that, I list 3 things I'm grateful for. When I hit those 3 things, I usually know exactly what my 3 proactive wins are going to be.
That's great.
Right. Like, and then I know.
Man, we're gonna have to make a little table and attach it to the video, a little cheater sheet.
It works
for people to be able to do it, because that's awesome.
It works because then by the time I get to work, and I've got everybody trying to pull me to appointments and respond to this message and do this thing, I already feel like a winner. I've got that.
That's way cool. Yeah. The one thing that I learned from someone in December, and it's my goal this year, and I haven't done it every day, but I kind of forewarned people. Especially I'm in a couple mastermind groups, and I spoke to about 250 people. And I said, in my presentation, I said, I might just text you out of the blue this year. Yeah. Because one of my things is to try to text someone a day, just to let them know, like, hey, how's your day? How can I help? Is there anything you need going in your life? Because
I've been the recipient of your texts.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Sometimes people get into the rigmarole, and I think a lot of it, I haven't done that in the past. And I've received something in the past, and I think it's because we're from Utah, where there's a lot of multi-levels, there's a lot of Ponzi schemes, all that stuff. But you kind of have like, what's the angle here? And then when there's like, hey, there's really no angle. I think I told you this story. There was a gentleman, quick story, is here in Davis County that has a big dealership, 29 dealerships or so. And I ended up seeing one of his employees, and we went to lunch. We used to play basketball together, and he asked me, he goes, hey, I just have to ask you, like, what's the angle? Like, why are you trying to become friends with him? Like, honestly, the one thing I've always tried to do is just build relationship capital. There's no angle. Like, and if we do something together, great. If we don't, that's okay too. And I have plenty of really inner circle friends that we do not do business together. Not like it's just not on purpose. It's just like we haven't. Yeah. Because that's awesome. Not the purpose.
I think that comes back to a core principle, which I think is a business principle that we almost never talk about as business. Like we think of it as religion or family. That's love.
Yeah.
Like if we love people, like we just do those things because we care about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because even with my teenagers, like, when we finish our call, I love you. It wasn't said to me a lot when I was a kid. Not like nothing against my parents. It just wasn't.
Culturally, I think generationally that's the thing. Because even right now, we've kind of had to get our parents on the train because we say I love you a lot. And sometimes you say it and they kind of go, love you too, or whatever. Yeah. And so it's an interesting thing. So here's a funny story is we've got a little tradition that we've started doing a couple of times where we'll just go to Great Harvest and grab like 9 or 10 loaves of bread and 9 or 10 like jars of jam or honey. And we'll go and have the kids just run them to random neighbors. That's pretty cool. I've had, just like out of the blue, but I have had a couple of neighbors that have been like kind of said that, like, do you want something? Or are you trying to sell me something? Like what is this? And we're like, so you have some fresh bread and honey, I don't know. And, but it's fun to already see what that does in our kids' lives to say, okay, are we doing jam? Like
spreading some love.
That's fun. So yeah, it's great. These are great examples.
Well, cool. To kind of switch gears a little bit, because I know we have a few more minutes left, but I know that you had, like Zach talked about, you've had 10 companies, you had a couple big exits, then you started Rev Road. Like, what was the purpose of starting Rev Road? What is it? What does it stand for?
I was just going to say, can I ask, like, what does Rev Road do?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little?
Great question. So the best way to exhibit what Rev Road does is our values. It's grit, growth, and gratitude. Okay. So what we're doing is we're putting in the grit necessary to create growth that can then turn into the gratitude.
Okay.
And hopefully have a lot of gratitude along the way. Basically just building different companies as both an entrepreneur and as an intrapreneur, having some of those, like you said, be some great successes and several of them being big fat zeros, like complete flops. I have a lot of passion and compassion for entrepreneurs and what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a big believer that one of the things that we can do is we can help each other with that. One of the unique things about the ecosystem here, and I hear this when I go to Arizona or Texas or Florida or to New York City, and I'm in those ecosystems, and then I invite some of those folks to come and visit here, is they can't believe how much we help each other.
Yeah, that's very true.
Just not present in those other places. And so that's really what was the genesis for starting Rev Road. We thought, you know what, if we like help lift a bunch of ships, like we'll create twice or 10 times the economic development, the number of jobs, the personal and professional development, as well as the financial returns that come with those things. Yeah. Like there's a winning formula in just like helping each other. And that's what we based Rev Road on, where we would help companies grow. In exchange, they would give us a minority stake of equity. And so we'd be closely aligned on the success.
Yeah.
And
I think there's something to be said for when somebody like yourself has a little skin in the game too.
Yeah.
They give you some equity. It means you actually care if it does well. It's not like you're going to get paid one way or the other.
Yep.
So that's a great kind of way to base that.
And the way I've described it to people too is, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but the way I describe to people what Rev Road is, number one, does it stand for Revenue Road?
It does.
Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't officially know. I don't think. Maybe you told me 2-3 years ago.
Most companies want to be on this road.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a great road. But what I describe to people is like the best way to describe Rev Road is you're in baseball. You just passed first base, and they are trying to help you get home.
That's right.
And that's their business plan, right? Having base coaches and stuff like, no, it's time to come back a little bit. Or, hey, start going to second base. Look at your base coach on third base to help you get home. Yeah. And that's their main business plan.
Yeah.
Overview.
Great description, Josh.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, spot on.
Because with us, we were there. I mean, meaning like we passed first base. We had some great successes, and we were having great revenue. But we didn't see some things until later, where we worked with each other to help get home. Yeah. Right. And it ended up being very well for both sides. And a great relationship.
Yeah.
And now we have, between Rev Road Services and then Rev Road Capital, which is a VC firm that we started later to put cash in, between those, we have over 90 companies in the portfolio that we're helping do that with.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's so
even the
fun.
Connections between companies. I'm sure you've got your eyes kind of in a 10,000 foot view. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And that's actually, what would you say too on the Rev Road side, Darren? Because I got my own opinion, but what would you say your superpower is within Rev Road and what you do with the 90 different portfolio companies?
One of my superpowers, I said before, is love, and I think love brings vision, and so that's my role. I'm one of the visionary folks. I can come in and take in a big picture, quickly identify like, how's this sitting in the landscape? What's the ecosystem look like? How's the competition? Where are the opportunities? That's where I focus most of my time. Yeah. Is like, where could we take this? instead of from 0 to 1, from 0 to 100, or from 100 to 1,000. And that's where I focus. And mostly that has to do with understanding the people involved.
Yeah.
And those relationships and where those tie-ins can come from the entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I think you hit it right on the button. That was what I was going to say is love and connection.
Yeah.
Because and that's what brought the question up is you said the one thing that he does is connects even portfolio companies with each other too. It's like, hey, I see something over here. You guys need to talk. Or, he's introduced me to government officials, and so it's that love and connection, right? It's connecting people. And it's also the love that's like, hey, you guys definitely should just go talk. If it works, great. If it doesn't, God bless you type of thing. And I think that's something that I've learned from you as well. And I try to take that with when I meet people for the first time, second time, third time, is I'm always thinking like, oh, I think these two would, hit it off, business wise, and it's worked more than half the time. And I think the more and more I've kind of used that muscle of giving and showing there's a connection there, I think
giving isn't always something tangible like that.
I totally agree. And I think sometimes when we talk about love as a principle, people think it's fluffy and ethereal, and it is anything but that. It is rubber meets the road. Like if you care about someone, I love Josh because, and I love Mark and all the other partners, Justin, Shane, Rusty, everybody, because of that. And same thing with my team. Like we sit up worrying about things and spend time that you wouldn't do if it was a transactional relationship.
Something crazy you said when you're talking about doing things just out of love. You're going to do something because you love them. The kind of the dichotomy to that, or the antithesis to that, something comes because when you're doing that, you're also going to love them more.
That's right.
It's like a two-way street there. We
call it the virtuous cycle.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great term.
That's how we look at that at Rev Road. Like you're just going to feed this cycle and you're going to help them succeed. And then they're going to come back and mentor someone else. And then they're going to be an investor.
Totally.
And it's just going to be this great virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
And hanging out with you and your wife, Taryn's amazing.
Yeah.
And we've seen that cycle taking place because you guys, we were able to help you guys grow. You're able to help give us returns. Now you've come in and you've been a mentor for other companies. You're an investor helping fund other companies. It's this great virtuous cycle.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Yeah, but if Kumbaya isn't playing on the background of this clip of the Utah Tube right now, it should be. So,
but that's a unique. That's not just that's not me. It's I like to have it. I'm trying to make it one of my superpowers. But it's definitely you guys as well. But it's also our ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was going to say.
The more we can spread that, the better.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say is to show even the love for the people that was my employees and my partners as well. A good example is, when we started seeing kind of the ERC program kind of plateau, they had the moratorium. Not a lot of people know what that is, but it was a big drop, that we could see that income was going to go down. We sat down as partners and we tried to, whatever they call layoffs today, there's an official word for it. RIF is what they call it.
It's a RIF.
Basically, it's a layoff. And we did not want to do that. We spent 3 or 4 days trying to find a way that it could happen. Now, if I was like, nope, it's business, I wouldn't have been, the first day I'd be like, yep, it's time to let them go. That's not how we were. We had the love, and we're like, we got to find a way.
But then we're like, that earnings report comes in, and then we said, people off.
Yeah. And then we said, what's the minimum amount of people that we would have to RIF? And I don't remember the number. Let's say it's 50. Well, we said, rather than us choosing, let's see what someone wants to do. Voluntary. Yeah. We had 45 out of 50. It was like 5 left over, 45. And every single one of them is almost like this huge testimonial. Like this was the best company to work for.
Exactly.
Whereas a layoff, it's like, middle finger. Like, I can't believe you guys, they actually started it's still today. There's a private Facebook group I'm part of former employees of mine that get together for dinner or lunch probably every other month.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So I say that because
alumni group.
If you show the love, if you show the love, it goes a long way. We had a guest earlier today, and he talked about being at people's funeral and what do you want to have said at your funeral? And that's what I want is, man, that guy really loved me. I remember, and to that point too, is I changed a lot of my life too, because I was at my middle school basketball coach's funeral, which is my friend's dad. And 2 or 3 speakers said, I thought I was his best friend.
Yeah.
So and I'm like, he treated people.
That's how I want to be. I want people at my funeral to say, dude, I thought I was his best friend. I didn't know he had so many people in his life. You know,
that's already happening, Josh, because I thought I was. He thinks who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I know already.
Exactly.
So, no, Darren, this is honestly, we got to wrap up a little bit, but I think we could go on. This has been a really, really great conversation. I'm happy to learn more about like really the origin story of Rev Road and you and just to see some of the cool things you're doing and out and about in a very atypical way. Usually we ask people, okay, how do you get a hold of you? And on your thing, it says, I don't do social media. So props to you, Darren, because you're one of a kind. I love that. I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, go to Rev Road.
Contact us. Contact
or shoot him a text, who knows. But
reach out to these guys. I'll be happy to communicate with anyone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Love it. Thanks for being on.
You bet. Pleasure.
Well, love you, brother. Appreciate you for being here. And until next time, invest in your future.
And invest in yourself.
This is the Flat Bill Investors Podcast signing off.